Okay, let's talk about everything that I've been testing today, and let's talk about this video that was released. I believe this was today, actually. Yeah, 15 hours ago, so more or less today. By Zerio. Very, very, very good video. Excellent work as far as testing goes. Shout out to Zerio for such good work. This is on the Barber, and it was testing done on the Rogue specifically to try and figure out if some of the procs or on X effects, like on crit, on direct damage, etc., were actually going off when the Barber was in its phase, in its absorption phase. And the TLDR for this video is that he found that crit and direct damage specifically effects would not work, but other ones like on skill use generally seemed to work. So we're now applying that to Druid. We've been doing this most of the day, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, because quite a few things got turned off in Rogue. Now, here is the positive and the upshot. Most everything seems to work in Druid. Just about everything seems to work that I've tested so far, or at least there's no clear evidence that it doesn't work. That's pretty good. But there's still a lot I haven't been able to test because it's a seasonal mechanic, which means I can't test on my Eternal characters, the Eternal Realm, because this heart doesn't exist there. And I only have one seasonal character. So here's what we've got so far. Right now, start with Lust for Carnage. So Lust for Carnage is the Paragon node. This one right here. Critical strikes with werewolf skills restore 2 spirit. If this was turned off during the Barber, it would be pretty drastically bad. Like, not a total killer, because when they die, they crit, so you'd still get a lot of crits. However, the good news is this works. Shockingly, given what Zerio was finding, he's finding like everything that was on crit wasn't working. That doesn't seem to be the case, at least in this scenario for Druid. I tested this multiple times, including like 10 minutes ago, on a single target that was clearly absorbed, and I was gaining spirit. The only way I could be gaining it was from Lust for Carnage. So this is definitely a working proc during the Barber. The next one that we tested was Storm Strike's vulnerable. Expect this one to work because it's on use, and it's correct. That does work. It absolutely does work. So Storm Strike is also good. The next thing we tested was Hurricane. Also an on use, vulnerable, and does work. So far, everything works. The next one we tested this is actually one of the first I tested, but the next one was Masochistic. It is not entirely clear if Masochistic is or is not working, because Lightning Shred has a built-in heal anyway, and then there's a lot of crits going off once everything explodes and the first one crits. So this one is inconclusive. I'm not sure if Masochistic is working or not. When we are, it's also a lucky hit chance on top of a crit, so there's no guarantee it's going to happen. I'm not sure if this one's happening or not, but at least on most Druid builds, I think this is going to be a take anyway, because when things die, you still crit, and when you first do it, you still crit. So this is probably still a take. Lightning Shred's still going to take it. There's nothing else that's better anyway. So if anyone else comes to some sort of conclusion about Masochistic that's different than that, let me know. But right now, it seems to be working just fine. The next one, which is very important for Lightning Shred in particular, and also Poison Shred, was Stormclaw's necklace. And I don't have any evidence after running like 6 or 7 dungeons, swapping back and forth between these, trying to find out that Stormclaw is not working, because the damage does seem to be at least as good, if not better. Definitely, it seems to be a little bit better with the Barber and with Stormclaws on than with just Stormclaws on. This is insanely difficult to actually test, though, except for just like look at relative time to kill on single target. I can tell you that on AoE scenarios, the Barber on is way better than off when we're using Stormclaws regardless. So even if it were the case that Stormclaws didn't work, I would probably swap out Stormclaws and keep the Barber. But I think it's still working. I don't have any evidence it's not working. Time to kill isn't getting drastically hit when I don't have it on. Or I should say when I do have it on with the Barber versus when I have just it on. If it weren't working, we should see a pretty drastic drop in damage with Stormclaws. The only thing I could test now is to try the Barber without Stormclaws and see if the damage is drastically worse than with Stormclaws. That's something we could try. But it's still going to be a lot of feel, a lot of relative time to kill. But nothing stands out to me that this is not working. So we're going to assume it is, especially given the other critical strike stuff with Druid seems working just fine. I'm starting to wonder if this is actually more of an issue with certain builds and not others, or certain classes and not others. I think everything that Zario did was probably really solid, and he's probably right about Rogue, but we're just seeing some interesting differentiations between what's going on with Rogue and what's going on with Druid here. So some other things that I've either tried and I'm inconclusive on, or I could use some help on, if anyone wants to try it out. Pack leader, gonna be really hard to tell. You have to crit them first, have them in the duration, and then do your tramples, and then see if it resets. Like you can do a trample slide, you can do it with poison shred. I only have a 2.6 duration Barber, so it's kind of hard to get everyone crit up, then do the trample in the 2.6 seconds. So I don't know if this is working or not. Yeah, you still get resets, but it could just be because some of the things are not crit yet. I would expect it to be dramatically worse over a long period of time if it weren't working in the Barber, but that's gonna take some work. I think that's it for this. Blurred Beast is still fine. Any reason why it wouldn't. Lightning Storm. I would like to know if Lightning Dancers and Overcharged are affected by this. Given that it looks like Storm Closet, I'd expect Lightning Dancers to. And the only difference here with Overcharge is now dealing lightning damage and lucky hit based. So maybe there's something with that. Not sure. Those would be pretty bad for the build. For Lightning Storm, if that was the case. You have to probably find different aspects. Barber would probably still be better. And then as far as Stormclaws goes, it's also overcharged. And other one be Calm Before the Storm, but I think this is probably safe given it's based on skill use, and we haven't seen any example across multiple classes now that on skill use versus on damage or on crit is not proccing it. So Calm Before the Storm seems like it's going to be safe, but if anyone gets contradictory information to that or contradictory data, if they can't proc Calm Before the Storm when they're using Barber and they just consistently can't do it, I would be interested in knowing that. Otherwise, I'm going to assume this works. So that's where we're at now. Basically, right now, I haven't found anything in Druid that really doesn't work in the Barber. It all seems to work. Nothing. At least there's no conclusive stuff that they don't work. And then several of the things I've tested are very clearly working. Like Lust for Carnage is very clearly working. Storm Strike's very clearly working. Hurricane's very clearly working. We'll keep at this. It's unfortunate that we've had to do this much testing to try to figure out what's bugged about this heart. I wish it came out in a better state so we could just enjoy it. But we need to find out what's going on so that we're not giving you guys bad advice on which builds to run. So we'll keep doing our due diligence. All right, that's it for this video. Hope it helps. See y'all real soon.